Okay, so this video lesson is about proportions, which kind of deals with ratios. It's just another way to compare things, really. So let's go ahead and glue it in our notebooks. So mine's on page 37. Yours might be a little bit different, and that is okay. Glue it in. Remember that you only really need to get the edges. Please don't cover the entire thing in glue. It will be very hard to write on. It'll take forever to dry. Okay. I'm gonna label this one proportions notes. And there are 2 pages, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one real quick. Okay, I have my notes glued in now. So, a proportion, it's spelled proportion, but we say it proportion. Just a heads up that it's spelled differently than you would think. So a proportion is an equation stating that 2 ratios are equivalent. So a proportion is an equation stating that 2 ratios are equivalent. What that looks like in numbers is we have these 2 equivalent ratios, 2 to 3 and 4 to 6. If we set them up in fraction form, 2/3 equals 4/6, because if I reduce 4/6, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 2/3 ends up equaling 2/3. They're proportional because they reduce to the same thing. They're equivalent. So let's do an example real quick. Part A, tell whether the ratios form a proportion, 10 to 4 and 2.5 to 10. So let's set them up as fractions. Or 10 to 40. I think I said 10 to 4 earlier. And 2.5 over 10. Now, I don't like that this 2.5, there's a decimal in the numerator of a fraction. So I want to get rid of it. I'm going to multiply by 10 because that'll move the decimal over once. So now I have 10 over 40 equal to 25 over 100. So now I can reduce. I can reduce 10 and 40 by 10. So divided by 10, and you get 1 over 4. 25 over 100, they can both be divisible by 25. 25 divided by 25 is 1. Over 100 divided by 25 is 4. So, because 1/4 is 1/4, my ratios are equivalent. That means my ratios, 10 to 40 and 2 to 5, do form a proportion, or are. They are a proportion. They are proportional. Let's try another one. 6/4 and 8/12. I'm going to set them up as fractions. 6 over 4. We're going to see if it equals 8 over 12. Let's grab a different color. So I wanted to reduce them. 6 and 4 can both be reduced by 2. And you get 3 over 2. 8 and 12 can both be reduced by 4. And you get 2 over 3. They do not equal each other. So they are not equivalent. So, because 3/2 does not equal 2/3, the ratios 6 to 4 and 8 to 12 do not form, or are not, a proportion. So that's really all it is for this little chunk, just kind of knowing what proportions are and determining whether or not things are proportional. So, on the other page, these are the ones where you're going to try it on your own. So set them up as fractions, see if they form a proportion or not, and all you have to say is tell whether they form a proportion, so yes or no. After you do the work, show your work, do they form a proportion? When you finish that, raise your hand and I'll tell you what you can do next.